Hello. Well, it's Christina again, and I wanted to talk to you more about eyes. Yes, I know I've covered it well before, and you've known my journey of how I would have expected things to be turning out, but I think I should talk about it a little bit more because for me it was not an experience that I was expecting, as you well know. I thought you have a cataract done and it's all fine. Okay, it's not exactly fine. I don't see very clearly. Is it going to get better? That's what's promised. But as I've said to you before, you got to ask the questions, but they don't always want to give you the answers. And I have found that somewhat intimidating. So much so because I asked the surgeon who did the eye so many questions. He actually then said to me, well, I don't think we're compatible. Perhaps you should find another surgeon. Can you believe that? I've said that to several doctors since, and they can't understand how he'd behave. He was a leading top guy. Maybe he had a bad day. Maybe he'd done too many cataract surgeries. I feel that for most people, it's an incredible success. But then I did get something called macular degeneration in the other eye. Now, all this happened a bit quickly, so maybe the fact that you got one and then you got the other affected the outcome. It's hard to know because I'm not exactly a professional in all this. You know how I said, oh gosh, I love eye makeup and I didn't look forward to having the surgery. I mean, nobody looks forward to that. But it's done. It's okay, I guess. I don't know. What I find is that if I'm out somewhere, faces from a distance aren't very sharp. It doesn't really affect driving because somehow that is closer and it's all what it is. But I did find, honestly, with the faces like at an airport, gosh, it's kind of a bit intimidating. Was it intimidating because I hadn't traveled in a while? Could be. But, you know, looking for the numbers on the screen was somehow a big effort. I don't know. But I did want to sort of... macro degeneration is a whole nother ball game. Now I have to have an injection in my eye, which is not very pleasant and almost somewhat unnerving to have to do it. I have to take a Valium before I go in because the thought of this eye with this syringe thing or this injection coming from a distance is pretty terrifying. Now, I don't want to upset people or frighten people or think it, well, oh, I shouldn't have it done. Everybody's experience is different, but it's a bit of a road when you're not anticipating it and you think you know what you're doing and you don't think you're stupid just because you're older than most people having it done. I mean, I'm pretty lucky to have waited to 82, I guess, before any of this happened. But I don't exactly feel it's lucky because I find it sort of intimidating, and maybe you would feel the same. If you ask questions to doctors, you kind of want a sympathetic answer. Is that too much to ask? I don't think so. But macrodegeneration is a whole nother ball game. It's not simple. You have to have the injection. You have to because it's got to stop the bleeding in the back of the eye on the cornea. I should really have all my information. It wasn't something I was very familiar with. But, you know, if you got to do it, you got to do it. Eyesight is so important. God, if we don't have eyesight, what do we have, you know? And it's easy just to accept it. I always did. I can't go anywhere without sunglasses now. I'm outside at the moment in a sort of shady area, so the light is not as sharp maybe as it would be normally, but you have to put sunglasses on. You can't bear the glare anymore, and that's something new. Makeup, a bit hard. Mascara, a bit hard, but I've got to do it. I have to. Now, there are some fabulous eye drops I wanted to introduce you to. They're high-low, okay? I hope you can see that, high-low. There's two different ones. There's a gel, which is that one. That's the gel, and the other one is drops. And I have found these have helped enormously. Now, how about this one? Nobody suggested it. I actually asked the receptionist, was there any special... No, I didn't ask the receptionist. I asked the pharmacy, and they had it behind the counter. And it's pretty expensive, too. Now, why wouldn't the eye surgeons tell you these drops really help? Because I was finding in the morning like the eye would close and it would be hard to open. But once I use the gel drops, which is that one, I use that generally at night, and I use that one during the day. Only twice a day, probably. Not all day long, you know. But there were stages where my eyes felt very gritty, and I don't know, you get that feeling, and you get sort of like a bit of a headache. I found like I had a pain from here to here when they do the injection. It's not something that you kind of think, oh, well, that's nothing. I'm just going down to the hospital for an injection in my eye. Believe me, it is, it's a kind of a bit of a lonely experience. Isn't that a funny thing to say? You feel sort of isolated. You go down there, it's all about you, but then nobody really cares. And then they say, oh, well, sit outside for a while and see how you feel. Don't move too quickly. Don't move too quickly. But you just, all you want to do is get out of there. But there's no way you can take yourself. Obviously, you've had all the drops and all the examinations, and the whole procedure probably takes about an hour and a half, because you have to go to another area to be assessed to see what's happening and where you are. It is quite a performance. So, cataracts. And now I don't know if I can do a cataract on the other eye. That's another work in progress. Glasses. Oh, don't talk to me about glasses. I have to go back and see if I can get something, because reading is really a chore. And I love reading. So now we have an issue with reading. I have to try and find things that are in bigger print. I love reading. Okay, the Kindle does help, but then you've got a glare on your eyes. So that's not always ideal, because your eyes ache more. And then people say, oh, you have to rest your eyes. Well, you've got to rest your eyes. You've got to close them. Okay, I know I've said enough on all this. And yeah, you got to rest, but it's a bit boring, isn't it, if you don't feel tired, but you feel kind of achy and a bit out of sorts. But anyway, that's all I want to say on my eyes as a progress. So it's macular degeneration, it's your eyesight, it's the cataract surgery, it's all those things, which is that wonderful, enchanting part of our life, right, that we have to endure, but we got to do it. And don't leave it. Don't, just because I'm saying this, think, oh, I don't want to do it. Believe me, it has to be done. I just wanted to talk about it to you, that's all. Okay, so once again, it's Christina saying goodbye. I'm actually in California, so for once, not in Canada. So I hope you will kind of answer me and let me know if you have any questions or thoughts on what I'm saying. And I'll love to talk to you again. So bye for now.